36 years of basketball knowledge and life skills. Your host, Coach Goins, focuses on today's topics on and off the court, helping players and coaches achieve their goals. So get ready for another fast break episode of Basketball More Than a Game with your host, Coach Goins.
Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another fast break edition of Basketball More Than a Game, and I'm your host, Coach Goins. Hey, listen, as we always say, make sure you have your sneakers laced up tight, because today, via telephone from Charlotte, North Carolina, we have none other than Jason Capel. That is right, you Carolina fans. Jason Capel, number 25. Jason, welcome to Basketball More Than a Game.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for having me, man. I feel it's a great opportunity. Thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to talking some hoops.
Hey, with that being said, we're not going to hold you back at all there, Mr. Jason Capel. We're going to get right into the thick of things. We're going to talk a little bit about last year's game. I know it was such a heartbreaker, and I know you as a former Tar Heel, or I guess you're never a former Tar Heel, but as a player that played in the 2000 Final Four, and you saw your guys go and play in the finals and lose that thing right at the last second shot. That had to be tough. So if you don't mind, share with the audience your perspective on that last second shot.
Zink is making that three, and I've been to the championship in 2005, 2009, and I went last year, and we had so many former players there last year in Houston. When that shot went in, it was just so heartbreaking for everyone. But to see the team come back, battle all season, had a target on their back, but they had a mission that they were going to redeem themselves. They started the redemption season early on in the summer, working hard, staying together as a cohesive unit, and to see those guys battle throughout the tournament, tough competitions. I mean, you think the Arkansas game, they were down big, found a way to come back. The Oregon game, the Kentucky game, things coming down to the last second, and different guys stepping up each time. So it was a lot of fun to watch. I didn't make it to Phoenix, but I was jumping straight up and down in my living room, and very happy for those guys for a lot of the things they've been through. But they stuck together and winning the championship, and that's something that will bond that group forever. So it was really special. I
know, and again, we certainly appreciate, as we say, dropping those dimes as alumni of such a fantastic program. Folks, for those of you that don't know, Jason was actually the last player recruited by the legendary Coach Dean Smith. Jason signed, and I think a couple of weeks later, Coach Smith announced his retirement. So, yes, he was recruited by one of the greatest coaches of all time, and again, had a spectacular career at the University of North Carolina. So, with that being said, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we go along. So, with that, folks, as we always start off the program, is the fast break session of the podcast, and we just like to call out Act Sports, our recreation sports program here in Stanton, Virginia, and just certainly appreciate what they do for the youth. So if you are interested in youth sports, please go to playactsports.com for your registration needs. So, Jason, with that being said, let's just go ahead and just get into the meat of things on the fast break session. So, what is your advice to the listeners as it relates to work-life balance, career, as well as being involved with basketball?
Well, the biggest thing is having a passion for what you do. I was fortunate to, have two parents at home. My mother's an educator. She's a retired teacher, principal. My dad was a high school coach, college coach, NBA Development League coach, as well as an assistant coach in the NBA. So I had two people at home that really stressed how to balance sports, academics, and life, because in our home, if you didn't do one the right way, the other two would be off the table as well, especially when you're talking about sports. So the biggest thing is having a passion for what you do, no matter what it is. And with that, the thing my dad taught my brother and myself is you got to work hard. No matter what you do, it takes hard work and dedication and perseverance. You're going to hit obstacles. Things are going to happen to you, and you have to dust yourself off, pick your head up, and keep moving forward. And when you're talking about balancing academics, athletics, and then, for me now as a 37-year-old having a family, when you're younger, it takes time because you think you're on the top of the world, and you need that discipline to be able to prioritize the time to be successful in different things. And when you grow up, there's really no difference. When things mean something to you, you put the time in to be great at everything across the board. So it's really about having passion. What I've learned, what I've been taught, and what I've grown to understand myself in all aspects of life, if you have a passion for something, you're going to put your heart and soul into it. And that goes for everything. Again, academically, if you don't get the books, you're not going to be able to play. If you're not able to play, maybe you don't get the opportunities to reach your ultimate goals. And again, those are things that were stressed to my brother and I from the time we were kids. And it's carried us not only as student athletes, but now as men leading families, and being able to give back to the younger kids, trying to instill that into them as well.
And again, folks that don't know, Jason is the younger brother of Jeff Capel, the third, who is actually the associate head coach at Duke University. And again, their father is Jeff Capel Jr., who had a luxurious college career, finished up in the NBA, and actually was my high school coach, and actually who really taught me the passion of basketball. And I was not good enough to play basketball in high school, or actually I was never on the basketball team. I was his student assistant back in 1981 through 84, and he drugged me to camps and clinics and breaking film down and cleaning backboards and sweeping up. And from that, 40 years later, now I run an organization here in Stanton. We have over 80 kids and 6 travel teams, and I owe all of that to Jason's dad, Coach Capel, and as always, he's still my coach. Love him to death. But again, that is how, and that's the importance of coaching, and that's what Jason is just telling you. Because the same way it was, when you hear me say coach, I'm speaking of Jason's dad. But that is what exactly he instilled in us as young men. And now that I'm 50 years old, Jason said he's 37. I'm 50. Makes me sit back and really think about and ponder just how important when you hear the word coach says. So that was just eloquently put. So let me move on. I know that you had a coaching career as well, Jason. So as a former basketball coach and a person that is really still plugged in to the game today, what advice would you give any of our listeners, particularly from the coaching aspect, as a person looks at getting involved in coaching? What do you think, or what do you should say some of the things that they really, really need to be dialed into?
Well, first of all, get into it for the right reasons. I think it's easy to look on television and see, obviously everything is broadcasted now, so you see the money people make, the lifestyle you can possibly have. But make no mistake, it's a tough business, especially when you talk about college basketball, and you have to get in it for the right reasons. You have to get in it because you have a passion to teach kids, help them get better. Help their families continue to grow. A lot of times you're dealing with kids who they could be the first person in their family to go to college. So it has to be bigger than the game. It has to be about shaping young men, helping them grow. So the first thing I'll always say is to get into it for the right reasons. And then it goes back to what I said before. It's about having a passion for what you're doing. It's about surrounding yourself with people of high character. When you talk about assistant coaches, support staff, and even when you're going out recruiting, I think one of the things I learned is we're all so enamored by talent. You're also enamored about guys that can shoot really well, can run and jump really high, that have all the physical attributes that we see visually that makes up a great player. But if those kids don't have high character that fits into what you want to do, your team as a whole is never going to be successful. So again, having that passion, having a willingness to make a program in light of who you are, fits your personality. And then you got to get out and surround yourself with quality people, quality coaches, quality support staff, and you have to recruit kids that have the vision and believe in the vision that you have, and go out there and put forth a concerted effort together as one. Because, you talked about Coach Smith recruited me, and I committed to Coach Smith. Would have loved to play for Coach Smith, but I played for Coach Bill Guthridge as well, who I trusted just as much as I did Coach Dean Smith. And one of the sayings that those guys always told us, it's amazing what can be accomplished when no one cares who gets the credit. Wow. It's about being as one. If everyone is pulling in the same direction, you can achieve some really great things. You should never feel like you know everything. As a coach, you have to continue to evolve. You have to continue to learn, continue to seek counsel and advice from other people, and evolve. That's the only way you're going to get better. That's the only way you're going to be successful. But it's a very rewarding business. I enjoyed my time. You have to pick a situation that's conducive for you as an individual. If you have a family, for your family. And it's very rewarding to see kids who a lot of times you start recruiting and they're 15 years old. And then you get them on campus at 18 and you watch these boys become men and hopefully become college graduates and check off the list of some of the things you talked about at 15, 16, 17 years old and say, we achieved these goals together. So it's a cool thing. It can be very rewarding, but it's tough. It's a 365-day-a-year job, 24 hours a day, that you have to have the right commitment to be involved in. And that's why I say you have to get in it for the right reasons.
And again, folks, that's why Jason is on Basketball More in the Game, because, he's been there. He's played at the Pinnacles. He's been around it all of his life, and he's going to tell our listeners exactly how it is. Again, we just certainly appreciate his time. Now, let's just kind of go back in time a little bit and just hit a little bit of this stuff. He played in 95 games as a Tar Heel. He averaged 11 points, 6 rebounds per game in his first 3 seasons. He had scored in double figures 58 times and grabbed 10 boards 15 times and had 11 career double-doubles and 1 triple-double. And he was the only second player ever in the history to have a triple-double at the University of North Carolina. And that happened on December the 17th, 2000. And he just went on and just had scored over 1,000 points. He's 48th on the Tar Heels all-time scoring. He's 5th all-time in three-point field goal percentage at 40%, and is 9th in UNC with 111 three-point field goals. And that's just to kind of recap of his college career. And he also played in the Final Four in 2000. So, listeners and you younger players, and as well as you coaches that are dialed in today, just understand who we have on the phone. Please don't take it lightly. Please respect his time as he lays and pours out his heart. Number one, because he's very passionate about the game, and number two, he's been where a lot of us would like to be. For you older guys, I'm sure that you remember him when he was up and down the court, and for you younger guys to aspire to play at that elite level. So, Jason, we certainly appreciate your continued your passion for what you do. And again, as I sit back and I remember you when you were a little fella growing up, and now watching you, you're a man. And one of the things I thought was absolutely just tremendous was this year doing the ACC tournament. You had the opportunity to interview your brother, which was absolutely, when I say folks, hilarious. It's what his brother did. Jason being the professional that he is, and I knew Jeff had something because I could just tell his whole body language before he answered that question. I knew it. I've been around these guys a long time, and I just knew I could just see it when he said, first of all, it was hilarious that you called him coach. It just, what a great moment for the Capel family. What a great moment to share with your brothers. And that's the thing. Basketball has allowed Jason to see the world, and it has been great for him. And as I tell my folks and the listeners, that basketball has been great to me. It's been great to my family, and the things that has opened up the door. So with that, that is why we entitled the podcast "Basketball More Than a Game." So, Jason, next question we like to jump into: as you develop young players, or as a coach looks at a young player, how does one coach really start to bridge that gap to really have that trust factor for that player to buy into their program?
Well, I think the biggest thing for a coach, you have to be honest.
Wow.
I think you have to be honest with players. I think you have to be honest with kids. I think kids are highly intelligent. I think they know when you're running game on them, or when you're just trying to get them to do something that may not be in their best interest. So you have to, or they may perceive, should I say, as not in their best interest. So there has to be a level of trust. And with that, you have to be honest with them. Good, bad, or indifferent. I think, no one readily enjoys being criticized. But I think when you criticize in the right way, a constructive way, and you show that you have their best interests at heart, that you're trying to help them achieve their goals, I think that's when trust is birthed. And with that, you can achieve anything. If you have the work ethic, if you show up ready to work and listen. I run an organization in the summer, USBA, and we are all over the country, Puerto Rico, Canada. We're going to Africa next summer to do something there. But the thing I tell kids and things that my dad taught me is you have to be the best listener. If you're a great listener, you have a chance to get better because you're going to take in the information and then you can go out on the court and put forth the things that can help you improve. But a coach and player relationship, it's about trust. It's about truth. And you have to understand that coach wants you to be better. That coach wants you to improve. And though things he says to motivate you, to push you, you may not like all the time. And some things I didn't like as a player.
I can understand.
But you can't take the tone. You have to take the message. And if you have a belief and you understand they're trying to help you improve to achieve your goals, then that's something that I think all of us will be willing to follow. So communication is key, and being honest and upfront and having a great truth in that communication with one another, I think is the first huge step in coaching players getting better together. And now you talk about incorporating that into a full team, a full 12 to 15 guys. That's when you can become something special.
Folks, just listen what Mr. Capel framed out there. When he said, "Don't take the criticism wrong. Don't get hung up in the message. Just take the message to heart and don't worry about how it was delivered. Understand that when a coach is coaching, he's coaching. Parents, I'm calling you out on that. A lot of times, parents come up to me as I'm, directing the basketball program, and I don't understand why coaches, and that's why we invite, come to the gym, come in and see. We don't have a closed practice, but you younger players understand that coaches are doing this. And again, as you said, if channeled in the right way, make sure that you're taking exactly what Jason is saying here, and making sure that you're able to put that filter. And process that and be able to be the best that you can be. So with that, we're going to go ahead and move into the second session of the podcast. It's titled In the Paint. And Jason was one of those players. He could do a little bit of both, inside out, because he was just blessed with that talent to be able to do that. Never did I ever imagine when he was growing up that he would turn into the player that he did. A lot of people don't know that he actually was Player of the Year in 2 different states. He was Player of the Year in Virginia, if I'm not mistaken, when he was a sophomore, and then he was in Maryland as in the private school sector. He was Player of the Year. So not a lot of people have those accolades. And I know he also played at Indian River here in Virginia back in the day. But again, just a tremendous young man. Much respect. So in that, Jason, as we turn to In the Paint, that's exactly what it means. Is where we kind of get down to the next level of the podcast. So with that, how has coaching, how has basketball affected your life?
Well, I grew up in a basketball family. Again, as far as I can remember, my dad's been a basketball coach. I follow my dad you talked about Pinecrest. I was a little kid bothering everybody at the Pinecrest practices.
Yes, he was.
To Wake Forest when he was an assistant there, to Fayetteville State when he became a head coach. I've always been in the gym. I went on recruiting trips with my dad. So it's something I've always been around. Now, when I got a little older, I started to feel I could be pretty good. And the thing my dad taught my brother Jeff and I both, use the game. Use the game. Don't let the game use you. There's so many kids, so many people that allow the game to swallow them up, allow the game to use them. And what I mean by that, if you use the game of basketball, and you touched on it briefly, the game has taken me all over the world. Well, first of all, I had to get my books. Academically, I had to do the right things. You talk about I went from Virginia to Maryland. A big reason of that, my dad wanted me to be more focused. I left Indian River. I went to St. John's Prospect Hall, where I could focus, just laser focus in on basketball in school, get the outside distractions out, and not allow things to deter me, outside forces to deter me from my goals. And when you use the game got me a full scholarship to the school I dreamed of going to, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. I used the game to get a college degree in 4 years. In the middle of that, I won 2 ACC championships and went to a Final Four.
Wow.
I got to experience some great things. After the graduation, I was able to become a pro. I had opportunities in the NBA. I didn't stick there, but I won a championship with my dad in the NBA Development League. I played in Serbia. I played in Japan. I played in Italy. The game literally took me all over the world, making a great living, but more importantly, culturally experiencing so many different things. To now, when my career ended, through injury, and I'm looking around, the sport is only going to take you so long. Say the sport takes most people maybe to 32, 35, if you're lucky. Well, you still have 50 years of your life left to live. You have to be able to do other things. Because I got that degree, because I did well in school, because I was around so many great basketball minds in college and beyond, it allowed me to go transition right into television, to transition into being a Division I assistant coach, to 10 months later being a Division I head coach, doing that for 5 years to now 6 years, and now being back on television for ESPN, calling the ACC and the A10 and some great leagues. So when you use the game and you don't allow it to use you, it can open up some special doors, can give you some special experiences, and allow you to grow as a person individually and learning how the real world works, being a part of a team, and disappointment, resilience, hard work. It teaches you all those things. So it's been great to me. It's been great to my family. It's the family business that we've all partaken in, and it's been very fruitful for all of us, not just monetarily, but again, the experiences that we have that bonds us, that are things that we will take for the rest of our lives.
And that's such a great thing. I mean, and folks, as I sit here and listen to Jason, just precept after precept, me just laying it down for us, and my mind runs, and just I don't know, and I'm just being very transparent right here. I just don't know where I would be as a 50-year-old man today if it wasn't for Jason's dad just taking care of me when I was a freshman in high school. He asked me to be a part of the basketball program, and the first thing I said, man, you got to talk to my mama. And then so he said, I can do that. So he stopped by the house, and Aunt Edna, she said, if you get him here and you take, she said, he's yours. And then 4 years later, and then now, I look back, and like I said, I'm 50 years old, and 40 years ago, I would never imagine to be able to be at the heights that we are, and continue to grow this program here in Virginia, and then be able to start the podcast. And we've been on the air a little over a month. iTunes has picked up the show, so we're very, very excited for the direction that it's going, and just grateful that Jason has taken time out to enhance that and just being able to be with us today. So with that, I've got another. Again, this is in the paint, and we're gonna hit this one and not get the 3 seconds called on us. But what is your greatest strength as a player, and what was your greatest weakness as a player?
I think my greatest strength is just how hard I played. And that's something that I was taught from a young age. My brother is 5 years older than me, and I always hung around him and his friends. Being a bigger kid, and if you wanted to play with the older kids, you better have some toughness, and you better play hard.
Come on.
Or else, you're going to get bounced out of there pretty quick. So I think my versatility and how hard I played, I tell kids there's a difference in playing hard and competing. I love to compete. I love the back and forth of competition, me against you, my team against yours. Let's see who's going to win, when the buzzer sounds. So those are the things I would say that I had as my strengths. My weaknesses, I think the biggest thing, and when you rolled off the accolades, I obviously I don't think about it with myself. I don't particularly like talking about myself, but if there's a weakness, Lamont, I always knew I was on borrowed time, and a lot of people don't know this. When I was 13 years old, my back started really bothering me. My dad took me to the doctor. The doctor told me, "You never have a basketball career. Your back is pretty out of shape. You've grown too fast.
Wow.
You went from 5'3" to 6 feet basically over a summer, from the ages of 10 to 11. So I always knew I was on borrowed time. Maybe that's why I played so hard. Maybe that's why I played so reckless. But I had surgery after my freshman year in North Carolina. You talk about, when you think of all the top 5, top 10 McDonald's All-American kids that have ever come out, how many have had back surgery at 18?
Wow, that's correct.
So there was a weakness. I just think physically, there were times that I couldn't sit down in class. I had to stand up. I wouldn't sit down on an airplane. Just from a physical standpoint, I gave it all I had, but a lot of people didn't know that I was never 100%.
Right.
And those are things that, I had to deal with, and I didn't complain about it. I continued to play hard. But the weakness was, honestly, I never knew waking up each day what my body was going to do. And that takes a toll on your mind at times. But again, when I tell kids you have to persevere, things are going to happen. That's what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Thankfully, I was able to play for years after being told that, and again, had many great experiences even going through that. So I wouldn't change a thing. But I have 2 little boys, and I just pray they have healthy backs if they choose to be athletes.
Hey, and I'm sure out of the 2, I'm sure actually there'll be some serious battles in the backyard. I'm sure, just like you and Jeff did. Hey, listen, I know you guys have gone public with Coach's illness. And just, what a dynamic article in reference to the tree. And that was written by Jason's as he said, his older brother, Jeff. Actually, just a quick story behind that. I actually was at work one day and went into a meeting, and the HR manager came in, and she says, "Lamont," she says, "I got this great article I want you to read." And I was like, I'm sitting there going, "Okay, what you got?" And so she said, "Come to the office when the meeting's over." I step in the office, and she spins the computer screen around, and it was very emotional. Because I was just like, one, I'd already read it, already knew, and then when she shared it with me, and I was standing there, and I guess she could tell by my facial expression, body language, she said, "What's wrong?" I said, "That's my cousin," and she's like, "No way," So again, just tremendous job, you guys in that whole body of work. So again, just much respect for Coach and you guys for what you're going through and the support. And so again, we just lift you guys up and continue to encourage you along that way. So with that being said, just kind of give me your perspective. And again, this was a Saturday afternoon. I'm flipping through the channels, and of course, I kind of got Dukes on the radar, and I'm dialed into every game that I can watch when they're on. And again, I tell people say, "Are you a Duke fan?" I said, "Well, I root for them." And they said, "Why you root for them?" I said, "Because I got a reason to pull for them." But within that, this Saturday, I'm sitting in my living room. And when they panned down the bench, tears started coming down my face. Yeah. And that was, and I'm trying to do that now without getting emotional about it. Yeah. But when I saw that, it just absolutely, that was like, it was like my dad sitting there. And I appreciate you guys. And I'll say this publicly: these guys shared their dad with me. I leaned on them. My dad committed suicide when I was a young man, and one of the first phone calls I got was from Coach. And he called me and he said, "I'm here for you, and if you need anything." So if you don't mind, just share with the audience, Jason, how you felt that day, what emotions, what ran through your mind.
Well, the thing about it, I really wanted to be there. I was actually working. I was in Miami doing a game. And when the game ended, I had time between when my game concluded and when my flight was to kind of run over the TGI Fridays right across the street. So I ran over real quickly, got in front of a TV, and it was special, man. I mean, you know, again, when we put the article out, obviously we worked on it for about 2 weeks, and the biggest thing was to bring awareness to this disease.
Yes, sir.
And put a face to it. And so that was emotional within itself. And after it came out, even more emotional because all the people that reached out. You know, again, I was in a different gym every 3 or 4 gyms every week calling games, and from the officials to the coaches to everyone in between, just showing so much love and sitting there watching. Again, I missed the beginning. But sitting there watching my dad and my brother, you know, Duke against Wake Forest, ironically, where my dad started as a Division I head coach, assistant coach, at Wake Forest back in the day. Seeing them together there, seeing how good my dad looked, seeing how happy he looked, smiling and you know, giving a fist pound to players. And he was back where he's supposed to be. And that was really special to see them together and to see him experience that. And, you know, a lot of people get caught up in this Duke-Carolina rivalry. But I tell you what Coach K did with that gesture to invite my dad to come be honorary coach is something that I know our family it's just really special. It shows the class. It shows the love, the appreciation, and most importantly, the respect. You're talking about a guy who, along with Coach Smith, is the best coach in the world, in my opinion. To extend that olive branch, to extend that opportunity to my dad to come and allow him to experience that, allow he and my brother to experience that together was really special. So it was emotional. I was happy. My sister-in-law was sending me pictures and keeping me updated. But I really wished, I think I actually tried to switch games from a Saturday game to a Sunday game so I could possibly be there. But I was proud. I was happy for my dad, for my brother, and he has not stopped talking about it since because, you know, it meant that much to him. It meant that much to our family. And Duke got, I guess it's about 10 pictures or so broken down and framed and matted, and that sits in our living room now from that experience of my dad on that bench with Duke as a coach. You know, sitting right there, Coach K, my brother, and my dad together, preparing to win a game. And the players hugging him, gave him a ball after the game. And it's just one of those experiences that, again, you talk about what basketball can do, but you talk about what being a good person and earning the respect of everyone, what it can do. So very thankful for Coach K, very thankful for Duke. And, it's all about creating moments in life, you know, and that's a moment I think we'll all cherish for the rest of ours.
Yeah, without a doubt. I know from you know, when Coach back in the 80s, I know our phones was getting blowed up because I was calling, I was telling all the guys, like, man, turn the TV on, Coach is on the bench, and that's one thing, folks. I used to tell, you know, used to tease Coach Capel about that. I said, hey man, I said, when are you and this was years ago. I mean, when I say I think right when Jeff Jr. started coaching, and his dad was at Old. I said, man, when are you guys gonna do this thing? And two or three of you, Jason, Jeff, and Jeff Sr. All on the same bench. And, you know, and that when I saw that during the Wake Forest Duke game, I mean, my mind runs back, 20 plus years. So again, just top notch. I mean, I can't say no more than that. But I'm grateful as a former player to be able to see, and as I refer to is my coach. And that's one thing. That's one thing your mom always asked me. She said, "Lamont," she said, "I've never heard you call him Jeff." I said, "I never have, and I never will." It's always been coach. So, hey, listen, Jason, I've got one more question for you, and then we're gonna go ahead and start wrapping this thing up. So, what is your favorite Carolina moment?
My favorite Carolina moment, the easy answer, and probably the thing I think that would be most expected, was the Final Four run in 2000. You think about that team, young team. At that time, a young team, when you're essentially starting freshman Joe Forte, who led us in scoring, myself and Chris Lang as sophomores, again, me coming off back surgery, Brendan Haywood, who hadn't played a lot up until that point, and Ed Cota, who that team kind of underachieved, or maybe we were just ranked too high early, but we went to the tournament as an 8th seed.
Wow.
And to come together, you win that first game, and now you start to believe. You beat the number 1 seed, in round 2, and now you have a chance. So that Final Four run as an 8th seed was really special. But if I'm being honest, the thing I remember most, the coolest experience, was my junior year, North Carolina at Duke.
Okay.
And we won. I played well. I had a great game. But what made it cool, Lamont, was my brother was there.
Okay.
And my brother was coaching with my dad at the time. So he's in the crowd, kind of in the middle, not on Carolina's side, not exactly on Duke's side. But he's there. And I was that Cameron crazy kid behind the bench rooting for him for 4 years.
Sure.
And waiting for that opportunity to have that stage, to play in that game myself. And for him to be there, and we won the game, as I said, and we're celebrating in the locker room. And probably after, hugging my teammates, the first person that, knocked down that door to give me a big bear hug was my brother. So to me, that was the coolest experience, the best experience in my 4 years, simply because I had been that kid rooting for him in that same gym.
Right.
And now to see him there, whether it was probably inside, he couldn't outwardly cheer for Carolina or cheer for me.
Squirming in the seat, squirming.
But to know he was there in support of me, and I played well, and we won. And for him to come in and embrace me the way he did, you talk about 2 kids from Fayetteville, North Carolina, who got to live their dreams, playing at Duke, playing at North Carolina, and doing all these things together. And if people know us, and how close we are, those are the special moments, that you'll cherish forever.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, hey, listen, folks, we just want to thank Jason so much for his time, his talent, his effort, as he continues to pour into the game of basketball from not on the court, but at courtside now, giving his expertise and does a spectacular job. I can be coming in the door, and my wife and she has the game on, and I hear that voice, and I'm like, I know exactly. I'm like, Jason's calling the game, and I'll hustle around and do what I have to, because it's not about us as individuals. It's about us collectively giving back, being a part of something special, and that's what their dad taught me. And that's what I try to do. So what my passion is when these guys are on television, whether Jason's commentating or whether Jeff is coaching, I feel obligated that, number one, that they've earned my respect. They've earned my time for me to stop and learn along the way from these guys. Yeah, are they younger? Yes, they are. But they've been in the pinnacles and played at the 2 finest institutions in college basketball. So they have a lot to offer. And Jason, so in closing, I'll just turn the mic over to you so you can just have your closing comments at this time.
Well, the biggest thing in giving this opportunity with you is obviously we're big on family. And, we touched on myself, we've touched on my brother, but I think you've been able to tell everything comes back to my dad. I think in every question you've asked is come back to me, talking about something he's instilled in us. And I'm just thankful, with him being diagnosed with ALS about a year ago now, a little over a year ago. just the outpouring of love that we've gotten. Again, from everywhere we've gone. I did a game at Old Dominion, and their new practice gym has his name on it. So just different things, the reception, people coming to Fayetteville to the house, the phone calls from, again, any and everybody showing my family the love and support that we've received. We started a foundation in honor of my father to raise awareness and raise funds for ALS, to build a ALS institution in Durham, North Carolina at Duke. And in the first month, we raised over $150,000.
Wow, that's excellent.
So just thankful. And I don't want to tell everyone, all your listeners who are possibly people that have kept my family in their prayers, have thought about us, who have contributed to everything we're trying to do, and just caring about someone that's my hero. Someone that's done so much for so many, for him to be able to see that. A lot of times we don't see those things while we're living.
Come on, I hear you.
To be able to see that, receive that, and it's been so great for my family. It's been great for my mom, and it's been fantastic for my dad. And in closing, I just simply want to say thank you. We appreciate it. Continue the prayers, continue in the support of my family and support of trying to find a cure for ALS. It's not a disease that's under-researched. It's underfunded. Okay. And that's something we're trying to rectify, and we're taking the necessary steps. And we just hope everyone continues to support and helps us be the change that's needed to help cure this disease once and for all. So thank you.
Thank you. And so again, for folks, we wish you Godspeed, Jason, you and your beautiful family, and as well as, and I cannot get off the show without saying this. We just definitely want to give a shout out to Miss Jerry Capel, Jason's mother. She put up with us years ago when we were a high school team, when we'd roll in there and she'd get them pots to jumping and had that fried chicken, and we'd bust down through there. We'd come through there and head down to the basement, and Coach would be down there watching. What y'all doing? We just coming to hang out. I mean, and that's why when I started this podcast, I entitled it "Basketball More Than the Game," because it has been more than a game just for me. Thanks again, Jason, for making this day a great day. Your time, your talent, what you're doing, we just thank you and wish you continued success in the area of broadcasting. So with that being said, folks, as always, remember John 14:6, I am the way, the truth, and the light. And as we close our podcast, always remember somebody somewhere is working on their game. And I'm your host, Coach Goins, and I'll see you in the gym.